All righty. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. This morning, we're going to play with a tennis ball just to work on a little bit more of that kind of myofascial release, some of the tight areas, the stuff that we hang on to. So take your time with this. Don't worry about it if you don't have it exactly right. You'll hit some kind of tender spots along the shoulders and in the back here. But just experiment, just kind of explore and see how it feels for you. And before we get to the ground, also, you're going to want a strap today and put the strap in a loop that is roughly shoulders width apart. We're going to be using it on the mid forearms, if I can get it there, the mid forearms. So you want it roughly shoulders width apart, and I realize mine's probably just a little short on that. So go ahead and have that all ready to go, and then set that aside. And take your shoulders up to your ears and roll them down. Good, take them up. Bring them back and down. Good, one more right here. Squeeze them up and back and down. And before we lay down, because that's really where we're going to start, I wanted to work on a little bit of a pranayama. We're getting into the colder weather, the cooler weather. And one of my favorite pranayamas that I don't do often enough is fire breath or Kapalabhati. And it really is a breath designed to create energy, create heat, but also for me, it releases energy. So when we get into some of those tougher poses and we're holding a pose, you can use fire breath to kind of work through that energy and keep yourself stable. My interpretation of all that. So let's go ahead and start with that. Because we'll be breathing out through our nose, you might want a tissue nearby in case you're a little mucusy this morning. But I'm gonna give you two options here. So start by sitting well. Maybe just get the shoulders in those pockets, right? Where they don't feel like they're reaching forward, they're not reaching overly back, they're just sitting comfortably at the side body. A little bit of tone to the low belly. And start by just coming into your center, right? Feel your body on your yoga mat. And you could sit up on blanket, by the way, blanket or a pillow. And feel the normal breath as you take it in through your nose and exhale either through nose or mouth. And notice. Right, we start by centering, we start by stopping, as we talked about on Wednesday, or maybe that was Sunday. We start by stopping so that we can see and feel and know where we are. Good. And then open the eyes. And for Kapalabhati or fire breathing pranayama, I always think about the action in the abdomen when you cough. So just take one hand to your stomach and cough, make an artificial cough like a and feel that contraction in your stomach. And maybe you have to cough a couple of times, right? To feel that kind of inward pulling contraction in the abdomen. And that is the sense of what we're going to be doing. So maybe you can do that a couple of times without the actual cough, but just with an exhale through your mouth, like a right? So we feel that. And already for me, I feel like I can feel a little bit of heat starting. Now, the other thing about Kapalabhati is, or that fire breathing breath is that we don't want to do it so much that we start to feel lightheaded. Some yogis would call that skull shining breath and said that it was better than having a glass of wine or doing some other substance to make you feel high, that it could really generate good feelings, but it can also make you dizzy. So, you know, just be mindful again. So with that, when you inhale, we're going to start by going through the mouth first. You can take one hand to your stomach just for feedback and take a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, it's and then inhale and exhale normally. Good. Inhale, easy. Exhale, easy. So this next round, we're going to go through the nose, and maybe you do that forceful exhale, maybe 10 times, maybe 30 times. You're going to know when it's time for you to take a normal breath back in. And when that is right for you, stop doing this breath and just come back to normal breathing. And you can have a hand on stomach or not, up to you. Shoulders are back and in place. Your spine is nice and erect. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose and begin. And when you're ready, release and breathe. Good. We're going to do that 2 more times. And when you're ready, it's an inhale first. And then a forceful exhale. Here we go. And breathe. Good. One more. Good. Last one here, if you would like. And begin. And take a deep breath. Whew. And exhale. And find your equilibrium again. So if you feel a little lightheaded, just pause, just come back to normal breathing. Good. And then release that, grab your tennis ball and come on down. I'm gonna be demoing on my right side so it's closest to the camera. And you can decide for you which side you're on, as long as we do both sides. So start by laying down, your feet are on the floor, your feet are parallel to each other. And we're just gonna get a nice, natural, kind of normal spine here. And then I want you to take your tennis ball in your left hand and roll your right shoulder away from the floor. Set that tennis ball not on the bony part of that scapula, right? The scapula is the shoulder blade, not on the bony line, but just below it. You're going to start to feel, as you start to put some weight on that tennis ball, you might find your little tender spot. There's a muscle, there's several muscles back here, but one of them is infraspinatus, which is part of your rotator cuff muscle. So I want you to start by finding your tender spot, right? Almost everybody has a tender spot there. There's trigger points there. And then start by just finding the spot and chilling out for a couple of breaths. So with trigger point work or deep muscle work, we don't want to get in so much that we can't breathe normally. We talked about this when we were using the block. If you're getting a deep massage, you want it deep enough to work into the muscles, but not so deep that you are tensing up because it's that painful. So don't go to that point. Once you find your tender spot and you've chilled out a little bit, I want you to start moving that arm. Now, how you move it again is going to be up to you. For me, I start by just bringing the arm kind of up overhead and then back down again. I'm still on that little tender spot. Maybe you bring the arm across your body, right? And feel that. And as we work into those muscle fibers, maybe you circle the arm with a bent elbow. If the ball slips out, just tuck it back in there and find your spot. Good. Again, I could do a whole class on this kind of stuff, so I'm not going to spend as much time here as we could. And then with that tennis ball under there, I want you to just start to roll a little circle underneath, right in that tender spot, and breathe. Good. Maybe you lean into it a little bit more. Oh yeah. Woohoo. Right? Maybe you take some of the weight toward that right side. Easy, easy. The head neck should be comfortable. And if you need a blanket under your head to make that comfortable, go ahead and do that. That's perfectly okay. Good, breathe. Good, and then I want you to really, maybe you grab the tennis ball, hold onto it, roll onto your right side. Where's my block? You might want to block under your head for this one. And you're gonna get into those deltoid muscles that are all on the top of the arm. And my tennis players out here, this can be such good work. Some of you are gonna find some really tender spots here. Know that you can control the weight of that, right? The less you're on your right side, the less weight is going there. If you find a really tender spot, maybe you just set that arm down and let it rest. And breathe, and then draw the elbow in and out. So you're just rolling down part of that deltoid muscle. Yep, and back in again. Woo. And maybe you start to turn inward a little bit. A lot of this kind of work is experimental. You've got to find where your body works here. So I've got my left hand on the floor, my head is facing the floor, and I'm just rolling around that sweet, sweet, sweet little deltoid. There's 3 deltoid muscles, and we're playing with those. And then roll back onto your back, grab your tennis ball, and come back to center. One more thing on this side, you're going to take the tennis ball in your left hand. You're going to move your right shoulder away from the floor, but this time you're going behind your shoulder blade into that trapezius muscle. So again, you're not on the bone, you're on the muscle to the spine side of your shoulder blade. Woo, now, this is right. This is where it starts to really. Now, if you're like me, my traps, my trapezius muscles are always tight, which contribute to some of the neck tightness that I have. So I'm going to start by seeing if I can find my little tender spots, and I'm going to pause for a moment and take a few deep breaths. Maybe I move my head a little bit, right? It's all connected. The upper trapezius muscle goes all the way to the base of the spine. So as you're working here and into some of the other muscles, you are affecting the tension in the neck. And then I'm just going to start to roll toward the spine, not on the spine, toward the spine, and then back out to that shoulder blade edge, right? And if it slips out, like I said, just tuck it back down. So toward your spine, Maybe you start to find little circles. Ooh, some of you are going to lift the hips a little bit just to get into that muscle. And then tuck that ball right at that edge of the spine again and roll down the ball, or really your body's going up, but the ball is going down that edge of the spine a little bit. Again, if you've had any deep muscle work, I used to be a massage therapist, and I've had many deep massages, musculoskeletal massages. They'll get their fingers into that edge of the scapula of the shoulder blade and just try to soften up those muscles. Why is this important? Right? If your scapulas are not moving, it affects everything. It affects your breathing. It affects your ribs. You want those babies to be mobile. Good. Maybe you slide that ball down a little bit more, just getting down to that bottom edge and then going back towards spine and zigzag your way all the way back up. And I guarantee you found some tender little spots there. And then set that tennis ball, just kind of hook it under the top of that trapezius and take your arm overhead. Breathe, everybody. And release the arm. Grab your tennis ball, pause for a moment, maybe take that arm out to the side, get a sense of it. And then the last thing here, you're going to take the tennis ball, again, never on the bone, right? So you're going to take it to the right side of your neck. And you might, whoops, lost my little thingy. Hang on, hopefully you can still hear me. There we go. And you're just going to tuck it into that corner side of your neck, and you're going to easy roll toward the right side. Please be gentle here, right? We learned this from the block. You don't want to dig in. You're just giving a little bit of release to that upper trapezius where it attaches at the base of the skull, at the occiput bone. Oh yeah, maybe you turn your head a little side to side. You're just leaning on that right side. Big deep breath. There you go. And release it. Oh, good. And then grab your tennis ball, turn over to the other side. You might want your block for your head. We're just going to do the left side. So come on to your back. The tennis ball is in your right hand. And you're going to bring your left arm across. You're going to tuck it behind that right or that left shoulder. And you're going to stop. There we go. You can really, when you find that spot. And then just start to chill, right? Okay, what's happening on this side? For me, why is this side so much more tender than the other side? And how does that affect what we do, right? So as I take my left arm out to the side, I feel a huge stretch in my chest. I've got a pretty tender trigger point underneath that left shoulder, that infraspinatus muscle. So I'm going to breathe through this, right? This fire breath could be interesting here, right? What would happen if we and then I'm going to start to move that arm around and see if I can break this stuff up. Now, anytime we do deep work, kind of deep trigger point work like this, you want to drink a lot of liquids, a lot of water afterward, just to flush out all that lactic acid. So maybe you're moving that arm up and down. Maybe you're moving it across your body and back again. Maybe you're doing little circles in that spot. So rotator cuff muscles, right? Rotator cuff tears, all this stuff that happens in our bodies. This is just one of those 4 muscles of the rotator cuff. And you can start to feel that baby release a little bit. And then start to move toward the right, or sorry, toward the left a little bit, and see if you can capture that deltoid muscle. Again, for me, I find putting a block under my head here a lot easier so that the head stays in alignment, and then I can just play with that deltoid muscle. Oh yeah. And maybe you roll a little toward the left a little bit more. You start to move around this upper arm. Control the weight on it, right? Don't just drop all your weight into that and wonder why it's so doggone painful. Good. And maybe you roll down the arm a little bit and back up. Very, very interesting work. Oh, that's one way to say it. Good. And then grab your tennis ball, release, take the block out from underneath your head, pause for a moment. Maybe you get a sense of how that felt. And then tennis ball in your right hand, lift your left shoulder away from the floor, but this time you're taking it right behind that shoulder blade, up in that upper trapezius muscle. And you're starting to explore that. You know, and for some, you just take the weight off of it a little bit and you just hang out, right, for a few breaths and see what happens. You can play with this anytime, you know, just get down on the floor. What happens if the tennis ball is behind your shoulder and you move your legs to the opposite direction, right? It's all connected, my loves. So then start to move around that tennis ball a little bit. Maybe you go right to that edge of the shoulder blade and then back toward the spine a little. There you go. Keep it going. Whew. Start to walk your way down that tennis ball. Wowie. I need to do more of this. Did some yard work yesterday, and I guess that's what I'm feeling today. Big deep breaths. Hang in there. By the way, if you've had enough, you just come on off of that tennis ball, right? Don't make it torture. It's a good torture though, right? It's a good torture. All right, walk your way back up. Find that little shelf of the upper trapezius. Just pause here. Maybe take the arm out. Soften your jaw. Maybe you turn your head a little bit side to side. And then release that. Take the tennis ball, take it to the left side of your neck. You're just gonna roll a little bit toward the left. You're gonna see if you can find purchase. If not, just put a finger there to hold it in place. Yep, and breathe. Don't overdo the neck here. Maybe you come into that corner where the trapezius muscles come up into the neck. Just keep it off the spine itself. And release that. And just set your tennis ball aside for now. I want you to pause here for a moment. Take both arms to cactus pose and turn your head side to side. Just gentle work here. Good. And then straighten your legs. Arms go overhead. I want you to squeeze the arms way overhead. Squeeze the legs down and away. And then tone everything into center. Squeeze everything towards center. And let go. Good. One more. Squeeze everything to center. And exhale, let go. Draw your knees to your chest. Roll over to one side. And come on up to a seat. Woo. Now, again, you know, that might be a little tender. Just keep rolling it out. A little ice pack or a heat pack on your shoulders later is helpful. If you can, sit cross-legged. If you can't, maybe you take the legs out or find another way, again, sitting up on a blanket. I want you to take your tennis ball in your left hand and put the palm of your hand down on the tennis ball. Take your right hand and put it over it. And I want you to pretend you're kneading dough. right? As if you were making a loaf of bread, and you're gonna need this tennis ball under your palm, especially this muscle at the base of your thumb. Oh yeah, feel that, right? I know. And again, you can control your weight if you're not sitting cross-legged. Just take the legs out to the sides, as long as you can get a little bit of weight on that. And then get into that base of the thumb, that muscle. I used to know the name of that. It's not coming to me at the moment, where it can get super tender, especially in some of our yoga poses. Go right to the base of that, where the base of the thumb starts to meet the wrist, not on the wrist, but right at that base. Let me know if it's tender. There we go. And then press into the forearm with your palm face down. This can be a little tricky, and if it's the balls rolling all over the place, you can use your other hand just to kind of keep it in place. And then turn your palm down, or turn your palm face up, and see if you can get into, there's some muscles. My thumb is almost to the floor. There's muscles that go from the forearm up toward the elbow that can get really tender. If that is not happening for you, you're not able to hold that ball in place, turn your palm face down and just use the ball on top of it. You're just going to use your hand to rub it. Oh yeah, feel that? And then find your tender spot and squeeze your fist. And let the fist go. And then squeeze, maybe curl the fist and let go. One more time. Curl your fist and release and let go of that. Woo, spaghetti arms. And go to the other side. Left hand down, or sorry, right hand down. I forgot I was mirroring. Left hand on top and knead that dough. And really get all around your palm, all around the edges to start, right? You want to get all those muscles. Other interesting thing, right, about the hand is there are a lot of acupuncture points in the hand. So we think about that. Maybe we're toning up the heart or the lungs or the kidneys by rolling this tennis ball around. And then get into that base of the thumb. For almost everybody, that can be tender. So start to really put a little bit of weight into there. Give it a good massage. Oh, yeah. And get it all the way down toward the wrist, but not on the wrist. I always think about my tennis ball players out there when I'm doing this kind of work. And then let it roll on to the inside forearm. So your palm is face down. You can go slower and get up toward the elbow a little. Usually this is not so tender here. We're just stretching in through some of the tendons. And then turn the palm up. Maybe the thumb goes toward the floor. And we're just going to see if we can find that same tender spot in the upper forearm that heads toward the elbow. And once you find your tender spot, pause. If there is no tender spot, it's all right. Maybe get close to the elbow, but not on the elbow. Oh yeah, there it is. And then squeeze your fist and release it. If that's okay, squeeze and curl and release. Squeeze and curl, release. One more. Squeeze, curl, and release. And then shake it out. Take the tennis ball right between your palms, interlace your hands, squeeze the tennis ball. Give it a good squeeze and release. One more time, big squeeze. See, this is just like barely the upper body. And release, shake that out. We're almost done here. Hang in there with me. I promise we'll get moving. Shake out the legs as much as you need to. Maybe they go straight if you can stay upright. Take the tennis ball in your left hand. There is a collarbone here, right? The clavicle, collarbone. If you draw your elbow out, you can feel it really easily. The tennis ball goes right underneath the clavicle or the collarbone. Now, if you have a device here, if you have a port or you have a pacemaker or anything like that, don't roll the ball over that. So if that's not possible, you just maybe you take your hands and just gently rub along that collarbone instead. And just start to feel, start to get into the arm, the divot, the little pocket, the little hole right where the arm and the chest meet. Again, be mindful. We don't really want to get into the breast tissue itself. We're right up in the chest, into the pectoral muscles. And maybe you'll go down just a little bit, like an inch down from that collarbone. And then come to the center. This is one of the exceptions. You can go right on the sternum, right on the breastbone. So you're right in the center. You can roll it down, roll it up. Whew. Maybe go just to the side there. Feel some of those rib attachments. Yep. And then switch hands and go to the other side collarbone. Another neat way to do this is if you are at home and you take the time to go to a wall, you can put the tennis ball between this area of your body and the wall and really get into some of that tense, tight chest muscle tissue. And then go into your little pocket, right? Just where the arm and the chest meet. Maybe you've come down an inch, go back to the chest, the center, the bone itself. Roll it down, roll it down, come to your belly, whoop. And just come into your belly a little bit. You're just playing here. You're just gonna find some spots, especially right through this upper part. It's where a lot of us carry a lot of tension. It's the third chakra, so, you know, get into all kinds of stuff there. And you're just gonna release some of that instinctual holding and guarding. Woo, and let it go. Shake it out, everybody. I had mentioned to some of you putting a tennis ball in a sock. This is kind of that idea so that you just have a little more control over it, but I decided not to do that today. All right, blocks to the front of your yoga mat. Socks are coming off. Let's get this sweet body warmed up. All right, so let's come right to table pose, everybody. Right to table pose. Pause here. I want you to start with some nice, easy cats and cows. So just start to, and think about what we just did with the tennis ball, right? And feel those backs of the shoulders, maybe the upper arms, the neck. That's it. The next time you are in cat, you're rounded up toward the ceiling. Everything is tucked. Gently keep the spine, but lift the head. So this is a little bit of a counter pose. It changes the nerve pathways. It doesn't change it, but it just, there's some really neat work being done with proprioception and moving through these peripheral nerves. Good. So release the head back down. Come into cow pose, your natural normal cow pose, tailbone's up, head is up, and then keep the spine, but drop the head. Yep. Bring the head back where it was. One more, both directions. Round all the way up, your head is tucked, your tailbone is tucked, your belly is tucked in, and then reach the head up. Good, release the head, release the pose, come into cow, and then tuck your head. Keep the rest of you there. You're stretching through some of those channels. Good, and release. Walk your hands forward, come into a nice puppy stretch. So hands are way forward, the hips draw back so that your knees and your hips line up. Your forehead maybe comes to the floor or to a block. And you stretch out that stuff we were just working with our blocks or with our tennis balls. Press into your hands, drop your elbows, come onto your bellies and move right to Sphinx pose. And then sway side to side and see if you can stretch out your deep belly muscles just a little. Just stretch, let the shoulders be soft. That's it. And then come to the center, sink into your shoulder blades so that both shoulder blades draw together, and then press up and away and broaden them out. Sink down and broaden out. One more here, sink down and broaden out. Good. And then lower your body, press back to table pose, and go right to downward facing dog. Start to pedal the feet. Let's get all warmed up, everybody. Shake it out. Bend, bend, bend. You can lower knees and straighten them. Just get yourself warmed up. And then take your feet wide on your yoga mat. Walk your hands all the way back to your feet and come on up to standing. Beautiful. And shake it out. Grab your tennis ball. We're just going to do one more thing. We've done this before in my class. So you're going to set the tennis ball on the floor. And we're going to go through this again rather quickly, just so we don't spend too much time. You're going to take your heel of your foot to the tennis ball. Your other foot is on the floor and you feel stable. You don't feel like you're going to slip or fall. If you do, a hand to a wall would be awesome. And just press down into that heel a little bit. And then roll it toward the arch, but not on the arch. Now you can put more weight, you can put less weight. If you happen to pop your tennis ball, which has happened many times for me, it's not about you, it's about the tennis ball. So don't worry about it. And then roll to the very beginning of the arch. This is where we'll start to get into some tenderness. We turn sideways, so in case you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can see where that ball is. And then start to move into the middle of the arch and just kind of rock that ball up and down the arch. Yep. Get the inside. And then come to the top of the arch and pause. Maybe put a little bit of weight into it. And then go to the ball mound and rock side to side, just stretching it out. If you lose your tennis ball, just go get it. And then see if you can hook your toes around that ball and stretch into your toes. A little bit of a bend of the knees, going to really stretch those toes out. My heel is on the floor. I think you can all see that. And release it. And for a moment, just feel that quick, even though we did that quick, maybe you feel the difference in one foot to the other foot. And let's go to the other side. Start on the heel. Pressing down. Finding your breath. And then move to the top part of the heel, the top meaning closer to the toes, but just before the arch. So those transition spots, the arch, the heel in the arch to the ball mound, those can be some of our tenderest spots. Maybe while you're doing this, you notice how your shoulders are feeling. Woo. And then move into the very beginning of the arch. You can stay stationary and press the weight in. You can start to rock that tennis ball along the arch. Ooh, yeah. Especially the inner arch, right? Can really get tender. Maybe you find a tender spot and start to move into that upper arch a little bit right before the ball mound. You'll notice your toes curling down right as we press into those tendons. And then move into the ball mound. And I like to just turn my foot in and out on here just to really go all through that area. For a lot of folks, especially under that big toe mound, it can get real tender. And then wrap your toes around it. Press the knee in And feel that big stretch on the toes. And release it. Good. Set that tennis ball aside and stand on those 2 feet and feel that. Just feel that. Oh, yeah. So, right, talking about being grounded and finding your yoga from the ground up. Right now, we've got that solid base. I want you to take your easiest way to do this is just take your arms so one hand is touching opposite elbow, and then use your left hand to pull your right arm across, and then circle, but the emphasis is on pulling that right shoulder across your body. My other hand is not holding on to the elbow. It's just going for the ride. Yep, a couple more. Ooh, maybe circle the other way. And as you circle down, pull it across. Good. And then pause and go the other way. So now the emphasis is on pulling that left shoulder across. And circle. Oh, yeah. And breathe. And circle the other way. And then both hands on both elbows. So don't worry if you're not grabbing. I want you to see if you can take those arms overhead and clear your head any amount. And then down. Take it up and down and up. Whew. Good. One more right here. Squeeze them up and down, and then shake it out. And come on back to the front of your mat. You will want your blocks for this one. Inhale, take it up. Exhale all the way down. Bend your knees as much as you need to get your fingertips to the floor. Let your head hang down toward the floor. Nice tone to the belly here. Bend both knees, step back, right leg. Come into our first lunge. Lower your knee to the floor. Inhale, reach up. Woo! And breathe. Exhale your hands to the floor. Lift your knee off the floor. Step back, downward facing dog. Feel the spread of your hands. Check and see if you are overweighting one part of the hands or the other. Pedal your feet. Good. Come to plank. Pause. Lower your knees. Lower your elbows. Good. Elbow plank. Find your breath. Lift your knees. Elbow plank. Find your breath. Lower your knees. Press back into your hands. Come back to downward facing dog. We're going to come back to that in a little while. Look through your hands. Step forward, right leg. Lower your knee to the floor. Inhale, reach up. Stretch it out, everybody. Exhale, take those hands back down. Lift your left knee off the floor. Push off to step forward. Bend your knees, hands to knees. Come on up. Inhale, take it up. Exhale all the way down. Soften the knee, step back, left leg. Lower that knee to the floor. Grab your blocks. I have mine on the second level. Press into the blocks to lift your chest. Engage your back glute. And then imagine your back knee trying to move forward isometrically. Feel how that solidifies, right? Stabilizes the legs. Keep your left hand on your block. Take the right arm up. Breathe. Maybe circle that arm. Yep. One more big circle. Exhale, hand to the block. 1, stay here. 2, lift your left knee off the floor. Find your breath. Lengthen through your spine. Press through your back heel. Try to pull your front heel back. Take the right arm up. If your knee is down, you're doing it as well. Breathe. And release that hand to the floor. Lower your knee back to the floor. Set your blocks aside. Plant your hands. Step back, downward facing dog. Pedal your feet. Plank pose. Lower your knees. Lower your elbows. Breathe. Now, when you lower your elbows should be under your shoulders. Tone your belly in, lift your knees off the floor. Try to pull your elbows back toward your feet. Yep. Lower your knees, push back into your hands. Down dog. Oh. Look through your hands, step forward, left leg. Lower your knees to the floor, or knee to the floor. Grab your blocks. Find your breath. Take your left arm up. Breathe. Circle that arm maybe 3 times. Stretching it all out. Let that hand come to the block. Lift your right knee. Hold. Make those legs solid. Squeeze the inner thighs towards each other. Pull the front heel back. 1, you're here. 2, that knee's down. And everybody, left arm up again. Find your pose, everyone. Exhale, let that hand come back down. Lower your knee down. Set your blocks aside. Step back to downward facing dog. Lower down to your knees. And maybe just a moment for child's pose or hero pose. Just a moment, Paul. We are just getting started. 45 minutes into class, right? Oh, yeah. All right. So come on up, everybody. I want you to grab your strap. And hopefully that strap is in a loop. And that loop is roughly shoulders width apart. So place the strap between your forearms. Trying to make sure you can see this. And if you have a buckle on your strap, just don't let that strap dig into skin. So I always keep my buckle in the middle. And then come on down to the floor. When you look down and you are on the pinky side of your hands, if your strap feels a bit too wide or a bit too narrow, go ahead and take the time to adjust it. You're on your hands or you're on your elbows and your knees. I want you to squeeze your fists tight and press your forearms away from the strap, or into the strap, and feel that work. And then keep the arms pressing into the strap, but release the tight fist. Just have a soft fist. Your wrists are straight. And then imagine these arms are windshield wipers, and you're going to pull both arms isometrically away from each other. They're both going out to the sides, but they're not really moving. Yeah, feel what's engaged, right? That back body is really working here. And then imagine they're going the other way. So isometrically try to pull your elbows out as if your hands were going to come together. And then try to do both, right? So there's a little bit more delicate kind of work. I'm both trying to press out and press in at the same time. And then draw your elbows back toward your knees isometrically. Watch the tension in the head, the neck. And then just release it. And roll it out. So same thing, if we were to come to a seat, and you can come onto your knees, you can sit back on your heels, or you can sit on your butts here. Is that same thing. So if we were on the floor here and our hands are in soft fists, our elbows are directly in front of our shoulders. So pull the shoulders back just a little bit and try to pull your forearms out without actually moving much. And then try to pull the elbows out. They'll move a little and breathe. And then try to pull your knees toward your elbows and your elbows toward your knees without really moving. And then release. Right? Amazing amount of work. So now I want you to take that into plank on elbows, on knees. So here we go. This is actually going to be core work. when it's all said and done, but it's also upper body work. So come on down to the floor. You're back on your elbows. Your palms are face in. Your elbows are roughly shoulders width apart. My pinky sides are down on the floor. I'm going to take one leg back. And even if you're doing plank on knees, I want you to come into full plank to start so that you get your alignment, and then drop your knees to the floor. So both try to pull the arms out and squeeze them in at the same time. Feel the shoulder blades moving toward each other slightly, and then try to drag your knees and your elbows toward each other and feel the core work. Then lift your knees off the floor. Woo! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the knees. Come on down. Release your strap. Woo. And maybe just shake out those shoulders a little bit, right? I know that's a lot of work there. That's it. Good. Come on back, everybody. I want you to interlace your hands this time. Your elbows are still shoulders width apart. And whichever pinky is on the bottom that is actually touching the floor, just curl it in so that your pinky finger isn't touching the floor and it's actually the sides of the hands. Hold that. Keep on your belly for a moment and isometrically pull your elbows back. And feel your core start to engage. Now bend into your knees and lift your belly. Here we are, plank again. Breathe. Keep drawing the elbows back. Imagine windshield wipering the hands out and back in. Lift your knees off the floor. Find your breath. Separate the hands. Now you're on pinky sides. Woo! Good, come on, we got this. Knees down, always an option. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the knees, lower the hips, palms face down, Sphinx pose. Drop into your shoulder blades and press back out. Good, drop down. Press out. One more here, drop down. And press up, good. And then release it and roll over to one side. I'm on my left side. If you can do left side and stay with me there, that'd be helpful. And just pause, knees are bent. Right, and so it's an amazing thing to me to notice how much work that is if you try to engage every single muscle to activate your core. All right, so come on up and come back to your elbow. By the way, if you need more cushion, just fold your yoga mat, the top of your yoga mat over and have a double thickness. And usually that helps a lot. Now I'm on my hip and I'm on my elbow. My elbow is directly under my shoulder. My forearm or my elbow to my hand straight out in front of me, pinky side. I want you to squeeze into a fist. And just feel how that activates the forearm. And then soften the squeeze a little bit and isometrically try to pull your elbow down back to your hip, right? From here down to here. And then try to pull your hip back up to your elbow. So we're squeezing the inside body. Draw the ribs away from you. Use your top hand and see if you can get the hips off the floor. So a variation of side plank. Press your hand into the floor, press your elbow into the floor. Try to draw your elbow back toward your hip and lower down. Press into your hand and stretch that side. When I stretch, I like to take the shoulder and just let it come up to the ear. So we can slacken that trapezius muscle and stretch the side body. And let go. Good, come on down. Now here's the interesting thing to me. Most teachers will teach this forearm straight ahead. I would now like to invite you to experiment. If that felt like crap, which it might, diagonal the arm out. Here's what's important: shoulder to elbow, straight line, perpendicular to the floor. You might be out here. Most people I found more diagonal, some of them like straight forward. So whichever one works for you. This time I want you to straighten the bottom leg, but take the top leg and bring it in front of you so that your foot is on the floor. Where you bring that is going to be up to your hips, okay? So once again, I want you to tone in through here, tone in through the belly, press down, pull the elbow back toward the hip isometrically. Fire up your bottom leg, like pretend you're standing on the floor. Lift the hips off the floor. Pause. If it's too much for your trap, come on down and keep the hips down. Now, pretend that bottom leg, which is my left leg, is pushing up against a wall. You can take the top arm up, you can leave it on your hip, or you can put it on the floor. Breathe, everybody, and lower down. Go back into your hand. Let the shoulder go up to your ear and stretch. Now, if being on your elbow is just too much, no matter how we do it, it's just too much for you, and you want to go to a full arm, go ahead and do that. I find side plank or any plank on elbows way harder than solid on my hands, but this gives our wrists a break and it works the muscles a little bit different. All right, good. Switch to the other side. So we're starting down low. You're on your hip, your knees are bent, your elbow to forearm, forearm to fingers. Squeeze your hand. Give a good squeeze, a good pumped up fist. And then soften that a little bit and isometrically try to pull your elbow back toward your hip and then pull your hip back to your elbow. And feel those obliques, right? Feel that side body, but it's not just that, it's the upper back as well. And release, let go. All right, so a little bit of action here. Pull back, pull in, tone the belly, and see if you can lift your hips off the floor. That's all you got to do. Watch that head, watch that neck, squeeze the belly in, maybe take the arm up. Keep pressing the whole forearm into the floor, not just the elbow. And lower down. Good. Press into your hand. Let the shoulder slack up to your ear. That's it. And come on down. This time, experiment. Remember, you can fold your mat over for a little bit more cushion. See if you are better with a slightly diagonal arm. Up to you. Good. Squeeze it in. Straighten your bottom leg. Flex that foot. Step forward with your upper leg. You're going to push into that foot, push into your hand, push into your forearm, lift your hips. Pretend that foot is pressing into a wall. So I don't want you to sink down into that outer ankle if you can help it. Maybe the arm goes up. Reach that side waist away from the floor. Push into your foot. Push into your forearm. And release it. Come on down. Ooh, press into that hand. Squeeze the elbow up to the shoulder. That really does release it. So if you can find that spot that feels kind of good, let it go. Good. Switch back to the other side. We're almost done with side plank. Hang in there. This is all going to come together, maybe, as the time just trickles on. All right. Find the spot that's good for your forearm. Pull it back isometrically. Choices. 1, you're coming back to the first option, just lifting the hips off the floor. 2, you're coming back to second option, which is 1 foot in front. 3, I want you to straighten both legs, but your top leg is in front of your bottom one. So it's like you're walking on a tightrope with those feet. From here, same thing, lift the hips. Flex the feet. Find your breath. Breathe. Isometrically, you're pulling that elbow down. You're reaching the ribs away from the floor. That's it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hand down, ribs down. Press into your left arm, squeeze the shoulder up to your ear. Oh, that feels so good. Good, other side. Same thing, same choices. Find that position that works, squeeze it back so we activate. You're either straight leg, one knee bent, or both knees bent. Here we go, one foot in front of the other. I like that top leg to be in front. Lift up, reach up. Chest is open. You can have your hand to your hip. You don't have to take the arm up. Try not to roll the shoulder forward. Breathe. That's it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let go. Press into your hand. Squeeze that shoulder up to your ear. And breathe. Whew, good. And let go. I want you to come on to your backs. So a lot of this plank / core work is from a teacher out there called, whose name is Ray Long. He does a lot of anatomy-based practice. And he talks about how if your core is strong, then in those poses like table, down dog, plank, it takes the weight or the pressure off the rotator cuff muscles in the shoulders. If your core is weak, then your shoulders and muscles take a lot more of the weight of that. So here we are, we've worked a little bit of front body, we've worked side body. We're gonna work a little bit of back body. So you're on your feet, knees are bent, hips width apart, shoulders are to the floor. Bend your elbows so your fingertips are pointing up toward the ceiling, and then press the whole back of your upper arms into the floor. Your chin is level. I want you to tone your belly, but hold up. So before you lift, I want you to push your feet out isometrically. And notice how the knees would like to turn in. That's all okay right now. So pull your feet out and away from each other. Keep the knees stationary if you can. Tuck the belly, lift the hips. And then as you lift the hips, I want you to engage both belly to lengthen tailbone and hips and glutes. So find that you're still trying to just gently push your feet away from each other. The glutes are active. Maybe you walk your shoulders under a little bit, and then your palms can either come together underneath, they can press into the floor, or the fingers can stay up. If you feel your knees here, I want you to walk the feet out some and dig into your heels, even to the point where maybe you lift your toes off the floor. Okay. So tailbone is long, belly is drawing in, glutes are active, hips are active. Find your breath. Back body working here, and then slowly lower down. Ooh, don't take your knees to your chest if you can avoid it. And breathe. All right, one more here. Feet to the floor. Press the feet away from you isometrically. Tone the belly in, lift your hips. Maybe the shoulders walk under, maybe not. Try turning your palms face up and see how that lifts and opens the chest a little bit more. Find your breath. And lower down, everybody. Woo. Good, bring your knees to your chest. Roll the knees over to one side. Come on up and come to table pose. Yeehaw. We're gonna see if we can pull all of this together in the little bit of time we have left. That's the thing about the tennis balls. They take time. All right, so spread your fingers. And remember what we did with those tennis balls. You might even be feeling those thumb pads a little bit. So don't lean all the way into your pinky side, but spread the weight all the way through your hands. On your exhale, come into cat pose. Once you are fully into your cat pose, lift your head and breathe. Release, come into cow, head up. Once you are fully in your cow pose, tuck your head. Breathe. Bring the head back up, come to a neutral spine, flip your toes under, come to downward facing dog. That's it. Feel as if your upper shoulders could wrap around and externally rotate. The shoulders are soft. There's a slight activation in your back body. Look through your hand, step forward, right leg. You decide, knee up or knee down. Hands come to your knees, press up. You're in lunge, high lunge or low. Take the arms up and breathe. Imagine you're holding in a big beach ball. Squeeze the beach ball between the arms. Big activation here. That's it. Find your pose, find your smile. Exhale, hands to the floor or one block under your left hand. Take the right arm up. Find that twist, right? Did this already, been here, done that. You got this, everyone. Release. Block is out of the way. Step back to downward facing dog. Use your breath. Come to plank. Knees up or knees down. Drop to your elbows. Careful here. Squeeze the elbows both in and out. Squeeze the belly. Try to pull the elbows back. Breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Listen up. Right hand comes diagonally across. Turn your body to the side, side plank. Big deep breath. Release, come back to center. Woo! Lower knees, lower hips. Sphinx pose. Rock out the belly, side to side. Beautiful. Come back to center, lower down. Press up, down dog. Look through your hands, step forward, right leg. Pause, knee up or knee down, hands to knees. Come on up. Inhale up. We're on the same side. I am too. Exhale, hands to the floor. I don't know if you all heard that. We're on the same side, so come on back. Come to a forward fold, bend your knees, and inhale all the way up. Exhale all the way down. So much for that smooth transition. Here we go, take it up. Exhale down. Breathe, everybody. Soften the knees. This time, step back, right leg. Hold your pose, knee up or knee down. Take your hands to your left knee. Come on up. Find your pose. Breathe. Exhale, hands to the floor. You can grab one block if you would like. Let the left arm come up. Find your lunge twist here. Big deep breath, everybody. Feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. Exhale, hand to the floor. Step back, downward facing dog. Breathe. Plank pose. Remember, knees up or knees down. Drop to your elbows. Pinky side, squeeze the elbows back as you draw the feet toward them. Woo! Maybe fire breath here, right? Good. Diagonal the left arm in. Turn your body to the left. Come into side plank. Oh, yeah. Rocking and rolling. Woo. Release. Come back to center. Lower hips. Sphinx pose. Find your breath. See if you can plant the pubic bone and then stretch the belly away from it. That's it. Lower all the way down. Slowly turn onto your back. Find your breath. Knees are bent. Shoulders to the floor. Bridge pose, everybody. Last one. And breathe. Think about it, right? Isometrically pressing the feet away, hips are active, glutes are active, belly is active. Maybe the shoulders move underneath, the hands interlace. Freedom in the head, the neck, there's space behind your neck. Release the hands and the shoulders if they're there. Roll down one vertebra at a time. Go slow all the way to the floor. And pause. Bring your left knee, bring it into your chest. Straighten your right leg. Bring that left leg straight up to the ceiling. Your hands are behind your thighs. Or behind your thigh, they're interlaced behind your thigh. I want you to push your leg away until your arms straighten. Keep pushing. And then bring it up. Bend your knee, bring it to your chest. Bring it across toward the opposite side shoulder. And then release. Other side, bring your right knee in, hold behind your knee. Breathe. Straighten that leg up to the ceiling. Push that leg away from you while holding on. So it's a bit of a stretch for all those neck and shoulder muscles. And then bring that knee back to chest. Bring the knee across the body toward the opposite shoulder. Ooh, yeah, good stretch here. And release it. Bring both knees to chest. Take the elbows to the outside of your legs and then bring the hands to the inside. So it's basically like you're wrapping your arms around the outside of the legs to the inside and then separate your feet. So it's a variation of happy baby. You're pressing the inner ankles away from each other. The knees are bent. You're pressing the legs against the arms, but you're resisting. That's it. Good, release, bring your knees back to your chest. And finally straighten one leg nice and long, straighten the other leg nice and long, the shoulders to the floor, the palms face up, the chin nice and level. And let's find Shavasana. If you need something to keep you warm, take a moment to do that. Maybe it's your blanket, maybe it's your socks. And then just feel your breath. Feel your breath starting to move back in to your body, to your awareness. Relax your jaw. Relax any tension around your neck. Feel your chest from one shoulder to the other shoulder, just softly elongating. Feel the belly soften. The hips. Both legs. With each exhale, soften, release, let be what is. And as your body softens into the floor, allow a soft smile to arise. And maybe notice that the smile is not contained or confined to the face. Where else do you feel the smile alighting in your body? See if you can soften even more. And those of you who are ready, it is time to shake out of Shavasana. And start to wiggle your toes, your fingers, maybe squeeze your fists and let them go. Slowly draw your knees up toward your chest. And just rock side to side until the knees roll to one side or the other, curling all the way over into seedling pose, fetal pose. And then ever so slowly pressing all the way up, coming to a seated pose of your choice. And then bringing your hands to your heart. We are explorers of our bodies. Let us continue to explore with love and with kindness and with curiosity. Namaste.
Namaste.